photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network, an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone,
From those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Australian Photographic Prize 2026. We are here today to judge the travel category. This is the last category in what has been a massive week of judging. We've had 8 categories this week. It's our biggest one, and this one's going to be great. So thank you for joining us. You're going to see some excellent images today in travel. I can't wait to get cracking on it. Now, I'm here today on behalf of our competition director, Daniel Bingham. Also, we have Nathan, who is our broadcast producer today, keeping everything tidy online and on YouTube. We've got Mel Sinclair, our scribe as well, who'll be working hard through the whole category, pronouncing our titles, and some of them can be quite difficult, so good luck, Mel. I want to kick off by thanking our sponsors for their contributions to the Australian Photographic Prize. We can't do this without you, and you help us provide some really incredible prizes for our entrants. So a huge thank you to our major sponsor, Nikon, who are awarding our overall Australian winner with Nikon product valued at up to $5,000, which makes coming first a really good prize. Also excellent is AZOS providing our runner-up in Australia with a Color Edge CS 2731. That's valued at $2,000, so an excellent second place prize. Our overall international winner wins a 12-month membership to the PPBN, the Professional Photographers Business Network, and that's valued at $1,000, so thanks, PPBN. Now let's talk about our judging today. We're looking at the top 32 images in the travel category. The travel category was actually a really big category for us, and there was a three-way tie for 30th place. So we've got 32 images today. Now, travel is defined as images that convey an essence of place, people, or cultural encounters. And it's part of our single capture post-production group, which means the amount of post-production you can do is very limited. It's really, you can crop, you can do toning, black and white conversions, you can remove dust spots, but you can't do, crazy composites. You can't add textures. You can't do that stuff. It's a pretty authentic representation of what was photographed. Now, in our judging session today, we have an expert panel of judges, and you're going to get to meet them soon. They're going to assess every image. They're going to score each image out of 100. Every image at least gets a comment, and many of our images will be challenged where we'll discuss the image in detail and then give our judges an opportunity to rescore. When our session is complete today, after that, we're going to have some closed door judging where the panel is going to deliberate to determine the winner from the highest scoring images. Now, if you want to find out who wins, so first, second, and third place for Australian and winning international image for this category will be revealed at our live awards ceremony on August the 13th. Even the judges don't know because we vote for that with a secret ballot. So they get, they're cranky. They want to know. They have to tune in like everybody else and find out on the 13th. Now, I'm going to introduce you to our cool judges in a minute, but first, we're going to have a look at the top 32 images in travel. So take it away, Mel Sinclair. How good is that? We've got a huge variety of images today. I think I cannot wait to have our panel unleashed on these images. It's going to be great. Now, we're going to go through each of our judges one by one for a bit of an intro. So, Afshan, let's start with you.
Thank you. My name is Afshin Jafari. I'm from Melbourne, and I'm a travel, landscape, architectural landscape, and commercial photographer. One thing, what I love about travel photography is it's not just a photo that tells where the photographer was. It also invites you to take you there, shows you the culture, the people, the atmosphere. And I am so looking forward to see and judge your beautiful images.
Awesome. Thanks, Afshan. Alan Moyle, let's go to you next.
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm here in Melbourne in Victoria, and yeah, primarily portrait-based photographer, but have started off kicking off landscapes and done a lot of travel, all that kind of stuff. And I just love seeing the world through different photographers' eyes and seeing how they bring it to us. So it's exciting to jump in to see what awards we can give today.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Chris Saunders, you're right on the other side of the country.
I am. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Chris Saunders. I'm joining you from Perth in Western Australia. And yeah, what a run through, and really looking forward to going through a bit of a round the world tour with my fellow judges to experience some locations that look to be filled with character.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. We'll go to Christopher, and I'm going to say Christopher so that you guys know who I'm talking to. So over to you, Christopher.
I've been a professional photographer since 1981, and the best advice in this category comes from a National Geographic photographer, and I can see it in all your prints. If you want to take interesting photos, stand in front of interesting things. My only advice to any photographer is see the world on a bicycle. Your photos emerge slowly and you're less threatening. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. Thanks, Christopher. Gerard, you've traveled a little bit further digitally to get to us today.
I'm in Los Angeles, so but I worked as a photojournalist here in LA. I did a handful of travel stories for the New York Times, highlighted by Cabo San Lucas and the southern part of the peninsula there. And I've traveled to China. I've been around different places in the world just on my own. Really looking forward to this. Like I get excited about seeing other people's visions of the world.
Awesome. Thanks, Gerard. And Lisa, you're practically down the street from me in Brisbane.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. I'm Lisa Kurtz. I'm a Brisbane Meanjin-based photo video projection artist. I absolutely love the travel category for all the reasons that my fellow judges have said, but it's just an amazing opportunity to see places that perhaps we'll never get to, and also to see it through someone else's eyes. And I always value that interpretation as well. From a category perspective, I used to run photography tours to Italy myself. I've tutored tours to Japan. I'm very aware of what of what the entrant would have been looking for, when you were making your images. I'm a very earnest judge, and like everyone here, we want to get the right score for your work. And just want to thank you to the entrants for trusting us to be judging your work today. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa. And rounding out our panel, we have Mandarin.
Hi, I'm really feeling very privileged to be able to judge with all these incredible judges. My name's Mandarin. I am a Melbourne photographer, primarily anything with people, so portraits, corporate portraits, stage type images. That's my profession. Creatively, it's more surreal, conceptual, constructed images. I do enjoy landscape photography immensely, and I'm a little bit blown away by the standard that I've just seen. So can't wait to judge and hear everyone's comments.
Thanks, Mandarin. I should introduce myself as well. My name is Chris Anderson. I'm the Director of Judging for the Australian Photographic Prize, and I'm the panel mentor today, so I get to facilitate this session. I'm a performing arts photographer, so my camera is often aimed at actors and dancers and live theater productions, but travel photography is a big interest of mine. Before the AIPP disappeared, I guess I'm the current reigning Queensland professional travel photographer of the year for the AIPP. And since the APAs don't run anymore, maybe I get to keep that forever. That's how I see it anyway. You guys can argue with me if you want. So that's our amazing panel. And everyone's raring to get going. So everybody ready? Fantastic. We're going to start with Afshin, Alan, Chris, Christopher, and Lisa. So Gerard and Mandarin, you're going to have a short break for a little bit, and we'll bring you on shortly. And Mel Sinclair, if we could have our first image, please.
Okay, starting us out, this image has no title.
And for our first image, we have a silver award, which is an excellent way to kick everything off. So congratulations to the entrant. I'm going to come to, actually, let's go to Chris Saunders. Actually, no, sorry, Lisa's jumped in. She's got some comments on this one. Go for it, Lisa.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Look, when I'm looking at work, I'm looking for atmosphere, character, uniqueness, and there's beautiful atmosphere here. And we've obviously got a sense of location. We've actually got signage. And that's the one thing I just wanted to point out to the photographer is when we have signage, we tend to read it. And I just felt that being able to see the logo there of one of our major supermarkets, I just felt that whilst literally that was there, perhaps that could have not been left or not been included when you were framing, or worked out another way within the post-production rules for the category to minimize the attention of that for us. But placement is beautiful, lighting is beautiful, definitely atmospheric, and just watch that every element has earned its place in your frame.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. If that's the kind of quality commentary we're going to get today, then we're in for a treat, everyone. Mel Sinclair, let's have our next image, please.
This image is titled Kayaking Amongst Antarctic Ice Giants.
And we have an 80, a silver award. So excellent result there. And Chris Saunders, would love to get a comment from you on this one.
Yeah, what a great image for capturing the sense of scale of the landscape and around the kayakers here, and you can get a real feel for how in awe they would have been of this environment. I think to bring this image up into a higher scoring range, it probably needed to be shot at a more sympathetic time of day, so maybe those specular highlights in the water weren't quite so dominating, and the shadow on the mountain in the background might have had some more contour to it.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. We're going to do a quick judge change. So, Chris, thanks for that comment. You can have a little rest after that hard work. And Afshin, you can have a break as well. Gerard and Mandarin, we're going to welcome you onto the panel for the first time. And Mel, let's have our next image, please.
This image has no title.
Your score, please, Christopher. So right, here we go. We have an initial score of 84, a silver award. And if Lisa Kurtz has anything to do with this, then I don't think she's going to let that stand. Lisa is on 92 in the gold range. All yours, Lisa.
Thanks, Chris. Just looking at the scoring range, so I'm on 92. It looks like my fellow judges I've got someone sitting in silver with a distinction, which is fantastic, and I've got everyone else in silver by the looks of it. So I'm thinking that I've got a good base to work from. I just feel with this image, we're ticking all of the boxes. We've got a sense of location. We've got lighting that's suitable for the subject matter that we have. It's allowing us to see all the information in the foreground right through to the background. And with that deadpan lighting, it sort of allows us to treat all the elements as equal. And I feel that in this frame, everything has earned its place. That incredible subject matter in our foreground there, the dilapidated, well, everything dilapidated, the brutal countryside behind us. I'm not sure what else we require in a travel image. What I want to hear from my fellow judges is what kept you in silver, and what can I do to encourage you to revisit your initial perception of this image.
Right. Thanks, Lisa. Gerard, you were on the other end of the panel on 80, just sneaking into silver.
Lisa always changes my mind about everything. I don't understand how. She's very persuasive. It has this really strong sense of place, and the abandonment of that particular structure reminds me of post-Soviet construction that was, abandoned at a certain point in its lifetime. I think this is the journalist in me wanting to see people, except that would be wrong in this image because of the abandonment. It's got good design. That light is very atmospheric. I just felt like I needed something else, and I can't quite put my finger on what that is.
All right, thanks, Gerard. I'm going to go to Christopher. So, Christopher, you were very close to the average there on 83.
I absolutely appreciate this as a piece of photojournalism. as a commentary. It's certainly authentic. It's off the trail. There are a lot of photos we're going to see that I've seen before. This is totally unique. It doesn't even remind me of Mongolia or of the outback of Russia. It's really, really good. 83, I was harsh. I don't know about gold because I do want people. I want abandoned people, people who've been lost by this society somewhere in that frame. That's the only thing I wanted to go into gold.
All right, thanks, Christopher. We're talking about gold, and everyone's put their hand up to have a chat. So we're going to go quickly. Mandarin, did you have things you wanted to add to this, please?
I think it's a superb image. The juxtaposition between the man-made and the natural environment with the color. I scored it a silver. I'm happy to rethink that with the comments, but I think what held me back slightly was I felt that the cropping was so tight against that building, and while the photographer's done an amazing job of photographing at an angle where there's no converging parallels, it's quite straight. My eye keeps getting drawn to that top left corner and away from the main subject. So that was my main issue with the image. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the context of the environment.
Cool. Thanks, Mandarin. Alan, did you have anything quick you wanted to add?
I was going to mention same as Mandarin in terms of those verticals, but also this is that whole abandonment, but it's also the fact that life is finding a way and it is just, starting to take over again. And the little Easter egg of that graffiti at the bottom of the building on the far left-hand side is just gives us that sort of, so yeah, it's abandoned, but you know what? People are still going to come in and tag stuff. So there is still some life, even though you can't see it, there is life in the image.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Lisa, back to you.
Thanks, everyone. I've just made a couple of notes and I will be brief. Christopher, Ian, I feel that the person was on their bicycle. I feel this is one of those frames where, do you know what I mean? There is someone that got into the environment. They actually were in the place and the space, and they've given us their interpretation. I do hear my fellow judges about the tight crop. I do feel that we just want to see more because this is such a beautiful scene. I love the fact that there is the narrative of potentially, nature coming back, and maybe that's the message: we will never see people. Do you mean that nature will eventually take over? So I think the people thing is going to be a really personal one for every judge. The missing something, I don't really know because it's not really missing anything for me, but I do appreciate that we're all looking for something slightly differently. I'm just wanting to remind my fellow judges, we're looking. I did ask for gold, so I felt that we were there. It is meant to be outstanding in concept, craft, and impact. Few distractions, and it is. And I suppose the emotional resonance is something that really worked for me in a really subtle way. I felt it was really refined and really resolved. So back to my fellow judges.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Lisa's score is locked at 92. Everyone else can rescore now, please. We've moved up into the silver with distinction range with an 87. Excellent discussion, everyone. Really appreciate all of your insights. That's fantastic. Let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Faith Along the Cora.
All right, we have a pretty big range of scores, and we're starting with an 82, a silver award, but we've got Gerard, who's going to press his challenge button for me just to make me a happy man. And Gerard's on 91 in the gold. So Gerard, take it away.
You gave me a challenge?
Yeah, well, it makes me happy to see that challenge hand come up on my screen, Gerard. So let's do that.
I just, this really appeals to my strong sense of street photography. not just because it's black and white, but because of the way it sees the people in the scene, how it uses the location, the leading lines of the building, getting low to see up into the face of the woman with her hands together, and the supplicant, on the ground behind her is just that extra added texture of storytelling. And this just for me as a photojournalist appeals on so many levels. I should have scored it higher. Hope you guys see what I'm seeing here.
Thanks, Gerard. Mandarin, you were at the other end of the scale in highly commended.
Yeah, I was highly commended, and it's an amazing opportunity to to capture an image like this. I feel where the photographer could have improved the image was if they had have perhaps expanded that depth of field, because the expression on the person on the ground would have been much more powerful if they'd been sharper. Also, I feel like if some of the sides had been cropped in, so the two people on the left-hand side, they seem superfluous. They don't seem like they're adding too much to the image. I think it would have been more powerful that way. And the other final thing is I feel like the high contrast is really distracting from the story, and it's blowing out highlights, and I just can't get past that. So for those reasons, I scored it highly commended.
All right, thanks, Mandarin. Christopher, you were right on the average there on 82.
Yes, it's a classic square crop. I know Mandarin's covered this, but if you actually go in for a traditional black and white of this style, a Rolleiflex format, a square format is perfect, because there's a person walking down the street in highlight, and there's a person with a puffer jacket that really is acknowledging the photographer and taking the mystique out of it. But I still think it's a silver. It's still a glorious capture.
All right. Thanks, Christopher. Lisa, did you have anything quick you wanted to add? Make it a quick one.
Just that I think it would be good to still appreciate that we've got wriggle room with high contrast in black and white. So I think that I'm on board. And Gerard, thanks for getting us to revisit this and linger with it a little bit longer. I think I've underscored a smidge, so I appreciate the opportunity to revisit my score. And I could imagine this as a print or as part of a series. I think it'd be very striking on the wall. It's just we can dig in so deep that we do when we're scoring digitally.
Thanks, Lisa. Gerard, back to you.
I'm still strongly in my gold in my gold zone here. I think the depth of field is not really an issue here, or seeing more light on the supplicant on the ground. It's really the body language that helps make that come together for me. And the folks in the background, I think there's such a balance to where they are in the photo. I just, I still feel very strongly about this photo being in the gold range, and I encourage you guys to come up here.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Gerard's score is locked at 91. Everyone else can rescore now, please. We've moved a couple of points to a very strong 84 silver award. So good discussion, and congrats to the entrant. We're going to do a little judge change. We're going to give Christopher and Lisa a short break. And let's bring Chris Saunders and Afshin back to the panel, and we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
The title of this image is Medan Girls.
And we have a 79, a highly commended, once again, with someone in the 90s range. If we have a judge that's going gold in 90, you can pretty much guarantee they're going to be wanting to challenge this. So, Gerard, it's all over to you.
The rareness of this moment, the fact that the photographer captured this quick, look back from one of the young women here, it makes, in my mind, makes it one of those decisive moment kinds of photographs. That combined with a really strong sense of place, the interaction between the two of them, there's an intimacy that's going on. It just, for me, it's like it's a little piece of the human experience that I think is transcendent.
Thanks, Gerard. Let's go to Alan. Alan, you have this. You saw this quite differently.
Yeah, I hear you there with what you're saying. Unfortunate, and yeah, again, decisive moment. I love the placement, the feet, all that sort of stuff. I just want when I see an eye that's that it should be in focus, and for me, this image, the eye is out of focus on that girl, and I really love it. Apart from being quite soft, and then having that sense of place, yes, but the sense of place is actually taking me out and not actually giving me much of a sense of place of exactly what's happening, apart from somebody's lost a slipper, and also there's that kind of distractions right on the edge, just the edge peeping right on there on the left-hand side. That just sort of takes away from what could be a very nice moment. I just wish that was a little bit sharper on that main eye.
Thanks, Alan. Mandarin, you were right on the average with 79.
Yeah, I was very close to silver, but as Alan said, with the eye out of focus, that left me a little cold. But the other thing that I struggle with is the photographer. If they had burnt in a little bit more all those chords and artifacts on the right, I wouldn't have been so distracted by them. I mean, those chords actually sort of frame the girls quite nicely, but even so, with the darkness on the top left, I feel that it would have followed through quite nicely on the right. So there was just some more thought with that would have assisted the image.
Okay, thanks, Mandarin. Gerard, back to you.
I love the chaos, of the background, and sometimes that chaos makes pictures seem more real to me, and a little bit out of focus. Yeah, but I often look at a photograph and think, well, what's its effect, despite some of its flaws? And for me, the effect of this has this beautiful moment.
Thanks,
I don't know if there's
Gerard.
enough to improve.
Gerard's going to leave the score locked at 91, and everyone else could rescore now, please. And we've moved up from 79 to 81, a silver award. So there's an entrant somewhere. Very excited about that. Great discussion, everyone. Mel, let's have our next image, please.
Okay, this image is titled Zanak Black Hat Dance.
Get that last score in, Alan.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Really even scoring from our judges. We have an 80, a silver award. So congrats on your silver. Chris Saunders, would love to get some comment from you, please.
Yeah, I was immediately struck by the energy and the vibrancy in this, and I guess that the use of saturation certainly reinforces that aspect of the image. I felt a slightly tighter crop on the left hand side might have reduced the distraction of the person looking at a frame on the left hand side. Otherwise, everything else is very much focused on what's going on and the energy of the dancers.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. We're going to do a quick judge change. So, Alan, you can have a short break. And Gerard, let's give you a break as well. And we're going to bring Lisa and Christopher back to the panel. And Mel, if we could have our next image, please.
This image is titled Leia Bhutan.
And we have an 83, a silver award. So congratulations to our entrant. Afshin, however, is on 88 in silver with distinction and is keen to challenge. So Afshin, over to you.
Yes, absolutely. I think this image is honest, is striking. If we can say, a simple portrait, or the portrait that talks to you, it's in your face. The look on her face, the subtle smile, the control in every aspect of this image is brilliant. I cannot fault it. It gives me a sense of location, sense of culture, atmosphere. Everything is there. Composition is great, and I think it deserves to be awarded as such.
All right, thanks, Ashton. Lisa, you were in the highly committed range.
Thanks, Ashvin, for getting us to revisit this a little longer. I think for me, my biggest element that I couldn't resolve was I didn't feel that emotional resonance. You know, I didn't engage with the subject matter. It felt sort of like a posed photo opportunity, and I just wasn't reading that same response that you had. But I'm definitely listening because I appreciate all the other elements that you had spoken about. It's technically well done. The lighting is beautiful. The badge, I really enjoyed looking at that little badge. I felt there were elements I just couldn't bring myself to move past it being a photo opportunity rather than a real authentic moment. So I'm definitely listening and I'm rethinking.
Thanks, Lisa. Mandarin, you were right on the average.
I think this is so exquisite. Technically, those eyes are pin sharp. The catch lights in the eyes are quite pleasing. This little girl, I do get a lot of emotion from her, even though it's a posed portrait. She looks to me very proud of what she's wearing, the little badge of, I guess, her parents. I was in silver, and the thing that just I would have liked to have seen for me to go up higher was maybe the wall to the left that's quite bright to be toned down, because my eye keeps being lured to that. Perhaps a little bit more space on the right-hand side so that you almost had a rule of thirds in the background would have been less jarring for me. I just feel it's a slightly unbalanced, but it's superb.
Thanks, Mandarin. Ashton, back to you.
Lisa, I think Mandarin mentioned or answered the sense of connection or feeling or emotional connection with the subject. It's there. Posed or not, honestly, we are not talking about documentary, we are talking about travel. And in travel, I personally don't think that we need to have a documentary sense of a portrait so that we look at it as such. I think this does a great job in terms of travel image. Mandarin, I see what you mean. I agree that it could have been a bit darkened. However, the photographer has done a bit of a vignette, and that helped a bit. It could have been a bit more subtly increased, but I think it does a job and brings attention to the face and the portrait itself. So I strongly think that it does deserve to be in the silver with distinction. I'm at 88. Please join me.
All right, you know what Ashton wants. Let's see what we think. Everyone else, Ashton, your score is locked at 88. Everyone else, rescore, please. Christopher. And what Ashton wants, Ashton gets 85, silver with distinction. Excellent work. And as always, really good discussion, everyone. Mel, let's have our next image, please.
This image is titled Young Warrior.
Very even scoring around panel 82 silver award. So congratulations to the entrant. Let's see, who can I go to for a comment? Chris Saunders.
Yeah, I think the black and white treatment of this image works really well, along with that strong diagonal from the top left down to the bottom right, effectively segmenting the image and providing a frame and focus for the face there. For me, I was looking for a bit more context in terms of the background, and I would like to have seen that pop out and shine through a bit more so we could get that sense of place for the image, but very characterful.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. I feel like when you make a comment, I take you off the panel. Please don't draw that conclusion. Chris and Mandarin, you guys can both have a little break. And let's bring Gerard and Alan back on, please. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Beachy Island Northwest Passage.
Score, please, Gerard.
Beg your pardon?
Can you put your score in, please, Gerard?
Oh, sorry.
All right, we have an 83, a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant on your 83. That said, we have two judges, both on 88. Both of them were trying to challenge. I'm going to go with Lisa. Lisa, could you take this one, please?
Thanks, Chris. Okay, we were at the top end of silver, so it's not a stretch to really be looking at silver with distinction. And I might, I suppose, just start with my first response to the work was, my goodness, what is that? I mean, obviously we know what it is, but wow, what is that? And it was so rewarding to both go in digitally, like on the screen, and I'm sure most entrants would realize by now, if you've tuned into judging, that we can zoom in and we can see all the detail. And so there was really rewarding information when I zoomed in. And I don't often get the chance to visit locations like this, so I found it completely informative and completely like a privilege to be able to see something, and that's what travel photography does for us. And we've got mood, we've got some beautiful movement there in the frame. We've just got a lot to consider. So I'm curious to hear from my other judges what we can do to lift this, and I'll look forward to hearing them.
Thanks, Lisa. Alan, you were in the highly commended range for this one.
Oh, and I actually clicked the comment before the score was even finalized in there, because I actually wanted to talk about this, because I think this has been handled really well. Great. Your long exposure is perfect. Sometimes these long exposures can be too much or too little. You've got it perfect, that perfect ghosting coming through. There's a couple of things that kind of take me out of the image. I feel like in terms of your cropping, I feel like, especially on the left-hand side, the fact that we have that hill that just takes us out of the frame and just doesn't keep us in kind of ruins it a little bit, which could have been position where you're taken could have been moved. I don't feel like you could actually crop it in because it brings too much close to that beach highlight. I feel like potentially there is also some sky darkening issues and that sort of separation around the edges, especially on the left-hand side, just above the mountains there. You can sort of see where the iceberg kind of has a little bit of a gap between the iceberg and the top of the mountain in the background. You can see there's a bit of a difference there from what's next to it. And I hate being so technical about all this because it really is beautiful. But the biggest annoying thing about it is you've got a big dust spot, which in this category you actually can remove. If you look just to the right-hand side of the iceberg, yeah, just in the sky there, you actually have a very big dust spot. So that's why I was kind of in that highly commended area.
Right, thanks, Alan. I'm going to go to Gerard, please. Gerard, you were really close to the average.
Yeah, I find it's such an ethereal image. It's really a strong sense of beauty. I see the dust spot now. Now I can't take my eyes off of it. And
Sorry.
for me, I want a little more story, and that may not come from the photo itself, but from the caption or the description that may come along with this. And is this a result of global warming? I don't want to guess in this regard. And as a journalist doing travel photography, those are the kinds of things that you have to play out in your the writing aspect of it. But the photograph itself, I love the ethereal quality of the light, the slow shutter speed that again contributes to that ethereal sense. The way the ice turns blue in the light, those are all very beautiful, compelling things.
Thanks, Gerard.
Is that right in the middle?
That's pretty right in the middle. Afshin, you were also on 88 for this. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Look, Alan, I saw that dust spot and I came down from my 92 to 88. And I still think that it even deserves to be awarded in gold, to be honest, because that's based on the scoring rate would be the few, if any, distractions group or category. As for the cropping, I think the photographer has done an absolutely great job by cropping in there. I think if it was a bit closer, you would have talking, oh, the highlights in the left side is too close to the edge of the frame. I would have loved to be a wider crop from that side. I think that is done purposefully and beautifully. From the technical aspects of this image, it is done with utmost technical capability and it is immaculate. I'm pretty sure that this photographer is master of his technique in taking such beautiful texture and atmosphere and within the water and this location is just as Lisa mentioned, once I can't be there, but I am there. This is travel, and this is a perfect example of travel photography. That is small bit that Anna you're mentioning about the highlight, honestly, that's one thousandth of the whole pixels of this screen. And I do not think that should stop us from going into silver with distinctions and higher. I'm 100% supporting this image.
All right, thanks, Ashton. Lisa, time for your wrap up.
Okay, briefly, thank you, Ashvin, for commenting. I won't repeat that except to say that I concur that, we have acknowledged that there are some of those distractions, and that's why we're keeping it in silver with distinction. I just want to point out the framing, because I think sometimes we're really tempted to crop things and then they become pretty. You mean because we've seen a version of the photo or the scene, and when we crop it in, what we do is we get that sense of, well, this is a whole universe contained in the frame. Whereas if we let the edges bleed out like they have, we see this is very much part of the wider world. So I actually feel really passionate about the crop, that I think it's spot on. It's not pretty. I do appreciate that. But I'm looking for something that gives us a sense of a wider world, of a location that extends beyond this particular subject, the clear subject matter. So I'm really on board with the crop leading us out of frame, because I think it's a commentary on the wider world and this particular location in the context of that. So I just want to encourage my fellow judges to check the silver with distinction matrix wording, and I think we've got highly refined, it's distinctive, it's got a strong concept, originality, emotional resonance. I'm ticking all the boxes is what I'm saying. So I just want you to revisit that yourself and see whether you can join Ashvin and I up in the silver with distinction range.
Thanks, Lisa. You're locked in at 88. Everyone else can rescore now, please. Gerard? And we've moved 2 points up to 85, a silver with distinction. So that's an excellent outcome for the entrant. Good discussion and well done, everyone. Mel, let's go to our next image, please.
This image is titled Glacier Walk.
All right, we have an 83, a silver award. Christopher, are we staying on 83? What do you think? I think Christopher would like to challenge. He's on 90. I'm going to push him in front of the challenge bus because anytime you go gold, I'm probably going to make you do it. So, Christopher.
This is so nostalgic. This just reminds me of Victorian tourism, where basically in their tweed jackets, they'd venture out into the Alps and be led in strong lines by guides. It's the colours, you can see that they're going to enter that final gorge, which has got the brightness into it. So that's where it's leading from the darkness and into it. You can feel the textures. This is beautifully lit. I mean, this person's not on this walk. They're in another valley and they've, with a telephoto, confronted this image. It's gorgeous. I just think this has to be special. This is very, very special indeed.
Thank you, Christopher. I'm going to come to Gerard. Gerard was about midway through the highly commended range.
I was really torn on this one because I think the sense of place is really beautiful. You know, there's a mastery in how the photographer chose to photograph this. My problem is that there's two groups of people, and I think that if you focused on one, there's more strength in the design of the image. I mean, I'm torn going back and forth between the two groups, which isn't dramatic tension all by itself. It's just that I just feel like sometimes, you know, everything is nothing, and you've got to decide on which parts of it have the most strength in an image.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Afshin, you were pretty close to the average there on 82.
Yes, similar to Gerard's concern, I have this feeling that this is these two images, and I like the movement of the people on the left side, but the people on the right side are the sharpest ones. So I feel that the photographer had to decide which side of the image, which part of the image is more important to them. But at the same time, it gives me the sense of feeling, a sense of location, sense of atmosphere for that I'm in the silver range.
All right, thanks, Afshin. Alan, do you have anything quick you want to add?
Yeah, I have similar to what everybody else is saying, but I feel like when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at a composition too, and we have kind of like a horizon running straight through the image, which is where all the people are. And so for me, if potentially that was, you know, lower third, higher third, that could have helped this more.
All right, thanks, Alan. Let's come, Lisa, make it quick. Make it a quick one.
Super quick. I just want to point out that there's 3 groups of people, and I only saw the 3rd group myself just then. And so there is a wave of people. I'm just pointing it out.
Excellent. Thanks, Lisa. There's been so many people. I forgot a challenge. Christopher, back to you to wrap up.
Thanks. I just, again, going back to the nostalgia of Victorian tourism, the whole idea that these people are being led along that pathway, it's storytelling having the 2 groups. And the brighter group, the group you want to concentrate on, is wearing the brighter clothing, while the other ones are setting off on their journey. So we're talking about travel. Travel is usually a guided tour. There is individual travel, of course, but guided tours. And this sort of travel is too possibly dangerous for people to venture off on their own. So it's a guided tour that leads you down a pathway and around. I just love the idea of a length of humanity.
Thanks, Christopher. He's going to leave his score at 90. All other judges can now rescore. We moved up 1 point, 84 silver award. So good discussion as always, and congrats to the entrant. Let's do a little judge change. So Afshin and Christopher, let's take you off the panel for a little bit. Mandarin and Chris Saunders, you're back on, and we'll go to our next image, please.
This image is titled Girls' Locker Room.
And we have an 83, a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant for your silver. Now, Alan, I might come to you for a actually.
Yeah, comment. Oh.
Are you commenting or are you challenging?
Oh, I was just going to comment.
Because I think, Lisa, was that a challenge hand up? All right, that was. We're going to do this. Let's hit that challenge button really crisply, everyone, if we want it. And Lisa's going to challenge this. Take it away, Lisa.
Okay. I just really want to get us to think about the fact that, this is a really unique moment. I just wanted to take a few extra moments just to look at it and rethink. I think we may have underscored it as a team, and I think we can bring this up into silver with distinction, just even in the early frames, because it's really cute. Let's be honest, and it's kind of funny. I must say I didn't personally respond to the title. I just feel it didn't really need a title in this instance. I sort of thought that really just made the read of it too narrow. So putting that aside, I just think we should look at it. It's kind of funny. We don't often reward humor we don't see humor very much, and just want to get my fellow judges just to rethink this and spend another minute with it.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Mandarin, you were in highly commended.
Yes, I was. And yeah, I agree with Lisa. The humor aspect of photography is lacking, and this is perfectly titled. I feel that where I wish the photographer had have put a little bit more thought into this, bearing in mind the danger factor, the danger points that I give this judge for taking that are not lost on me. Like, I'm sure that would have been extremely scary. I wish they had have perhaps photographed half stop lower to bring a little bit more depth into the fur of the animal. And also it does seem a little bit unsharp. And when I'm looking at animals, I really want to see crisp feathers, crisp fur, because that just I find quite distracting.
All right, thanks, Mandarin. We're going to go to Chris Saunders, who was just sneaking this into the silver range.
Yeah, look, I had a really visceral reaction to the title of this image, and because I initially wanted it to be a humor thing, but then the title absolutely killed that for me, and maybe I just need to reevaluate it and ignore the title in this case. So that's why I'm down at 80, but I will reevaluate that because I do see it as humor. I just don't get that in the title.
Thanks, Chris. Alan, did you have anything quick that you wanted to add? Because you're on 87. You're in support of this.
And I found it funny. I loved the humor in it. So well done for the humor. Lighten up, guys. It's good humor. And I probably would have actually gone gold, if it again the sharpness was there on the fur. That was the only thing I was going to comment.
All right, thanks, Alan. And Lisa, back to you.
I think this is where titles are tricky. I don't think we needed a title because it forced a particular read. And Eve, I tend to ignore the titles, but I was drawn and I really want to comment on that. So, and I don't know how my fellow judges feel about that, but it is funny. The intent is funny. I agree with everything Alan said. It would have been magic in Mandarin if we'd had the detail. I so get that, but it's just got the impact, the wow factor.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Lisa's going to lock her score at 87. Everyone else, please rescore now. We have an 85, a silver with distinction. So good work, team. I'm really fascinated by Mandarin's idea of danger points. So I don't know if that's something we can bring in as a bonus scheme. Maybe that's the wrong thing for us to reward at Australian Photographic. Please just ignore what I just said.
It'll all be fun until someone dies.
Yeah, exactly. Bears are hilarious until they try to kill you.
All right, let's just zap the last 30 seconds out of the live stream, and we're going to go to our next image, please, Mel.
Umanak.
And we have an 85, a silver with distinction. Right out of the gate, that's a really good score. So congratulations to the entrant with 3 judges in that 85 range. And who am I going to go to for a comment? Chris, you were on 85, so you were right on the average for this.
I'm yeah, the repetition in the buildings and the fact that then that's repeated in the mountain in the background in terms of the spikes. I really love that. I love the that you can look into the windows and sort of get a glimpse of people's lives. I suppose I was just lacking that real cookie to push me up into gold, that emotive connection to the image. But yeah, fantastic travel image.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. And some nods from your fellow judges about that one. Lisa and Alan, you guys are going to take a short break. And so let's bring Christopher and Afshin back onto the panel. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled The Bean, Chicago.
And we have an 83, a silver award. Excellent result for that photographer. So congratulations. And Afshin is on 87. So he's up in the silver with distinction range, and he sees a little more in this. Go for it, Afshin.
Yes, absolutely. I think I'm not alone here, so we might have a chance here. I think the photographer has done a great job in capturing this location. Being in that location, I have seen many people use it, trying to do a lot of self-portraits, trying to do anything that I have done that before. And what I see, the photographer went away and look at this with a different angle. Yes, this photo might have been, we might have seen this, but not with this angle that instead of taking photo of the object, it's taking photo of the object with people trying to get shelter from the rain rather than doing self-portraits and funny stuff. There is one person that is still standing in the right side of this and trying to take an interesting portrait, perhaps, I don't know. Another interesting thing that I really loved about this was the fact that no matter how much I tried, I could not see the reflection of the photographer in that beam. And that was very interesting to me. Second thing that I really love is the textures of those buildings in the background. It's just beautiful. It's just mesmerizing. And the fact that all the lines are straightened. That's my appeal. It's something that I personally really enjoy it, and I think it has done masterfully and beautifully. I would love to hear what other judges think about this.
Thanks, Afshin. Chris Saunders. You were just on the very tippy top of highly commended.
Yeah, I was, and I will be coming up from Afshin's comments, especially around that you can see the person on the right hand side does have their iPhone up, and maybe they're trying to get their selfie shot of that reflection in the bean. So, that context has helped for me. Personally, I didn't have it much higher, because I felt there was almost two images in here. And whilst I liked the fact that the tour groups were hiding under the bean, I wanted that to be the subject, and maybe a slightly tighter crop without those pillars on the right hand side would have set would have given it more focus in the frame.
All right, thanks, Chris. Mandarin, you were very close to the average on 82.
Yeah, I applaud the photographer for very careful consideration of the architectural aspect. There's no converging parallels. That is perfect. I also am quite impressed by, as judges, we're always looking for the cookie, and the photographer has supplied the jelly bean. So kudos to that. What held me back slightly is, although I love the aspect of the rich colors of the umbrellas reflected, I really would have loved to have seen a hero person, someone that really stood out, perhaps doing something different, so that our eyes had something to focus on.
All right, thanks, Mandarin. Afshin, we're going to come back to you for a right of reply.
Okay, thank you. I think Mandarin, the person that is doing something different is the person that is on the right side taking the self-portrait or whatever they are doing. And I think we are there. I think I believe this image is strong as is. Chris, I don't believe that tightening this would have given us this impact that this image at this moment gives us. The architecture and background with this shape created a contrast that made this image interesting. The textures and colors and subtle contrast in the background with this heavy object and people taking shelter for the rain, they work really well together. I don't see cropping this down or making it tighter. I think that would overpower the bean, and we would be thinking, I would have loved to see more. I'm sitting at 87. I believe that it is well deserved in this range of scores. So please join me.
All right, thanks, Afshin. Afshin, you're going to lock your score at 87. Everyone else rescore now, please. Gerard, just hit that submit button. Fantastic. Gerard, can I confirm that you did what you intended to do there?
Yes, I did.
Okay, then we have that's fine. You don't have to explain. That's good. We have an 83, a silver award. So really good discussion from everyone. And congratulations to the entrant. All right, let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Pumpkin Cellar, Darker Market.
All right, we have a 79, a highly commended. So excellent work to the photographer. Chris Saunders, you're on 84. So you were up in the top of the silver range. You're taking the challenge. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the challenge on this one just because I was a high silver, and I think everyone else is very close to being just in silver. So maybe worth a few minutes just having a conversation around it. And the tipping point for me on this image was was basically the colors in the pumpkins and the clothing and the hair on the man were basically, creating that extra connection for me between the guy's workplace and his personality, and maybe the fact that the greens that are in that cloth are staining from from handling the vegetables over very long hours and shifts and durations like that. And the orange in the beard, just works really well with the orange in the pumpkin. So, it's for those reasons that I think it's worthwhile just nudging into the silver category.
All right, thanks, Chris. Mandarin, you're one of 3 judges on 78 for this one.
Yes, and I applaud the photographer for capturing a really stunning image. It is compositionally lovely. Where there could have been improvement, I feel, is that it looks like there's some amazing catch lights in the eye that may have been from a little bit of fill flash, but I kind of wish, if that's the case, that they had have just upped the flash just a smidge so that I saw more detail in the shadow area of the face, because I think it's just lacking a little bit there. I'm also getting quite distracted by that blue box to the right, and I feel that if there was more coloured boxes around the image, or that wasn't there, it would be more focused on the subject.
Thanks, Mandarin. Gerard, you had this just sneaking into silver on 80.
Yeah, I'm kind of in Mandarin's camp with that sense of darkness above it. I felt it could have been just a little tighter to make the pumpkins larger, in the frame. Overall, I think it's technically excellent. I like the fact that the photographer saw that diagonal light and used it to his advantage. And I just think it should have been framed a little tighter to bring the pumpkins out a little bit more.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Chris, back to you.
Yeah, look, I think this challenge is really going to come down to how much importance you place on the correlation between the pumpkin color and the colors in the guy, and how much that reflects, the amount of time he spends working in this workplace. And hopefully, that mechanism is worth putting it into that silver category for me, which does add a certain uniqueness to this image, I think.
Thanks, Chris. Chris's score is locked at 84. Everyone else, please rescore. And we've moved to an 81, a silver award. So excellent work. All right. And congratulations on your silver award entrant. That's a really great outcome for you. Let's do a little judge change. So Gerard and Mandarin, you can step off the panel for a moment, bringing Lisa and Alan back on. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image, Hot Wash, Cold Drinks, Tokyo.
We have an initial score of 83. And for the most part, it was pretty tight scoring, but Lisa's up there on 92 in gold. She's waving her arms about. She's pressed the challenge button. She's actually sent me a telegram. She'd like to challenge this. Lisa, over to you.
Okay, I know I'm on my own, but I won't be for long. So what I love about this work is that it's extremely cinematic. And I think that was what I responded to initially. So this is the moment before the moment. And what's really important, I feel, is with the actual frame. So we've got some natural dividers in the frame with our literally, doorways. And then we've got the stairwell. And I know sometimes that we're tempted to, again, crop, because we want just this contained version of a story. Yet for me, having the looser crop and showing that it's a wider world is part of the cinema for me. I feel like I'm on a movie set in Japan, and there's going to be something either really beautiful and exquisite happening or something really horrible and terrifying happening. And I'm feeling some tension in that. So I feel that there is, look, technically speaking, I can see some noise. I'm going to just put it out there and say it looks fairly even across the whole frame. So I feel we could call it grain, and we can err on the whole, that sort of cinematic noir feeling. And it's in focus. I can see detail. It tells me a sense of place, a sense of space. And for me, a narrative yet to unfold. So I'm leaning heavily on my emotional and response to the point of cinema that I see in front of me.
Thanks, Lisa. Chris Saunders, you had this in highly commended.
I did, and I like Lisa's commentary there, and I think for me, the difference between a photo and cinema is that there is no motion in this image, which means that we spend more time with this individual frame, and the right hand side in terms of focus, it's just not there in terms of the machine itself, and that occupies a large portion of this image. So that's why I'm down in 79, just that the focus isn't quite there in terms of the right hand side. It does very much dominate in terms of highlights and black on red sort of lettering, and that's where I keep getting drawn to, and without that lack of human element in the left hand portion of the image, I'm left to explore the rest of it. So that I get the cinematic vibe. Absolutely, it does have those feels, Lisa. But there's some challenges there for me. I'm hoping you can address for me.
Thanks, Chris. Christopher Ian hit the comment button so early on this one. He's got stuff to say.
The reason it's getting the badge of cinematic is your color grading's gorgeous. It's so Asian, because we're used to shooting fluoros and they throw out a light. We could have color graded that towards pink. We could have color graded towards cold blue, as in the fluid display. But you've got the colors being that green yellow, very ugly green yellow. It's very Asian color grading. It's gorgeous. I just feel, in response to Chris Saunders there, that if you'd pull back a step or two and focused maybe 1/4 in, you would have got the best of both worlds in your focus, because you've gone in tight. You've actually done the macro problem where you've created a close scene where the distances between the foreground and the background are just too great for your optics. So I think if you pull back, you would have had a much more dark enclosure of your image. The color grading would have even sung even more to me, and you would have had definitely more in focus.
Thanks, Christopher. Afshin, did you have anything quickly that you wanted to add?
Just reiterate what Chris says about the focus, and Christopher kind of answered that. To me, also the most important, most biggest part was the front, which is out of focus. But that's all right. The inclusion of the right side, that was brilliant, and that for that I'm sitting at 82. And Chris, I want to answer about the human element, missing that. I think it's there. The basket and that plastic bag behind it. I don't know if it's a photographer who went there for doing the laundry and stepped away to take a shot. Maybe someone was doing the laundry, went to have something, left something behind, and went to take it again. Maybe, but I think the fact that the basket and the open laundry machine is open, that to me is the human element there. So I'm coming up. Maybe not into the gold, but I'm coming up.
Thanks, Afshin. Lisa, back to you.
So thanks, everyone. I think the major commentary that I want to respond to is the focus. And I do feel everything is in focus to convey the meaning it needs to convey. And this isn't a category or an exercise in everything needs to be sharp from foreground to background. And I feel that by having some slight differentiation of focus, I mean, at viewing distance, we can read the words. We can read them. We can understand what we're looking at. It's not blurry. It's just slightly less sharp than the main event, if you like. So for me, I felt the focus was perfectly appropriate for the read. And Christopher Ian, to suggest and to indicate and to highlight, that the palette itself can tell location is beautiful. Do you mean? I think that's wonderful. The photographer has absolutely taken us to place through many, many mechanisms, including, tonal palette and lighting. So I really want us to reward this. Gold with gold. I said gold, didn't I? So gold, I'm in gold. do what you can, see if I've sold you enough on the technical aspects, and reward the quiet moment before the moment.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa's going to keep her score on 92. Everyone else can rescore now, please. And we have an 84. We moved up 1 point to a stronger silver award. So excellent discussion as always, panel. We're going to go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled A Medina Moment.
Score, please, option. All right, we have an 83, a silver award with fairly consistent scoring around the panel. And I'm going to actually, we got Christopher in. Christopher, I want you to hit that challenge button faster next time, but he's taking the challenge, so go for it.
Well, the compulsion was to get it into the next category. I thought I'd be amongst friends, but apparently I'm not. Let's talk about it. We've seen photos today where the subject stares back at the camera, and it's as though we are on a tour and this man stops and hopes that we'll buy one of his produce or do something, interact with him in some way that he financially gains, and so he allows us to take the photo. This person in a very common spot is in their own world, which if we go around the environment that he's in, the cigarette butts, this man doesn't probably have a long life ahead of him if he's going to keep smoking like that. It's just the color palette is brilliant. His clothing, everything. It could be 100 years ago, and yet you know this is possibly a real photo. This is probably his home. He's on the steps of his own home. I just think it's gorgeous. It really, I would have gone to gold, but I just suspect it's probably on a photo tour and not a capture. But I just love the colours interacting with each other, and the storytelling's there, right down to the cane and the wear on the cane. Look, it's silver distinction easily.
Thanks, Christopher. We got a cluster of judges in that silver range. And so I'm going to go to Alan Moyle for a comment, please.
So yeah, I think it's a very solid silver for all those reasons that you've said. It's I love all that aspect of the butts and things like that in the bottom of the thing. I feel like we've just got too much foreground, which actually takes us away. So if we actually crop it up a bit from that whole step and that brightness at the front, bring it right up to the bottom of those steps just to get those cigarette butts in, we come into the person a little bit more, and also taking a little bit of that frame, the grate off the left-hand side. And I feel there's been a little bit too much burning in certain areas around this image too. So it looks like we've had a bit of darkening around the figure and around the edges, and especially that darker bit that draws me right down that laneway, which I like being drawn somewhere, but I don't want to be drawn away from my main subject. So for those reasons, I think it's really great, but I still think it's that silver range.
Thanks, Alan. And Afshin, you were right on the average on 83.
Yeah, just a quick one. Everything that Alan said, I agree with that. Just note that they are not all cigarette butts, and most of them are actually sunflower seeds, which coming from similar culture, it actually brought me a bit of giggle. But I'm 83, and I think it deserves silver.
Thanks, Afshin. Christopher, back to you.
I love the flow of the steps too. I haven't mentioned that before because it was only when someone said, let's crop in, Alan said, let's crop in. I actually way the steps are worn towards their centre and they flow down through the lack of colour and the wear down the pathway. I think he's gorgeous. I mean, it's such a find, this person. His color temperature is perfect compared to his surroundings. He's the only warm thing in a fairly cool background. Please
Thanks,
come up.
Excellent. Thanks, Christopher. You're locked to 86. Everyone else, please rescore. And we've held tight at 83, a silver award. Excellent discussion, though, and I'm loving Afshin's comments about the sunflower seeds as well. Everyone, we're going to take a short break now, so you get the chance to stretch your legs, go get a snack or a drink, and we're going to hear some words from our sponsors, which you should absolutely watch, and then go spend your money with them. And then we'll see you back here in a couple minutes.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzito from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
PPBN is a network, an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
From those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the judging of the travel category. We're about halfway through, and we're also running about 50. We're currently tracking to run 50 minutes behind schedule, which means instead of 2 hours of amazing commentary and image, you almost get 3 hours. What a bonus! And we're not even charging you any more for it. So, oh wait, it's free. Yeah, okay. Well, still really good. We're going to go back to judging now. We've had a little judge change. So Afshin and Chris are currently off the panel. We've got Alan, Christopher, Gerard, Lisa, and Mandarin, and Mel. Let's get cracking on our next image, please.
This image is titled Hands of Time, Ha Giang, Vietnam.
And we have a 79, a highly commended with very even scoring from around our judges here. Mandarin, love to get a comment from you, please.
This image is, I feel, so emotional. That little old lady doing whatever she's doing, she's sitting there with such intent. And that drew me into giving a silver, where I'd encourage the photographer to look at something like this more carefully in the future is her hands tell so much of the story, and I really wanted more focus on that hand closer to the camera. Also, I feel that the cropping could have been modified slightly. It's a little bit too far cropped in at the right with space to the left. So a little bit more balance there would have also lifted the score.
Fabulous feedback, Mandarin, and congrats to the entrant on your highly commended. Mel, let's go to our next image, please.
This image is titled Stoic.
And we have an 83, a silver award. So congratulations to our entrant on their silver. And who might I go to for a comment? Let's go to Alan for a comment on this one, please.
Well, congratulations on your award. Beautifully presented. I feel, yeah, the location, the clouds, the working that's been done on this has been done exquisitely. So simple. I think potentially maybe slightly centering it just a little bit more could have sort of helped kind of come up a bit more. But it's exquisitely done. So simple, so beautiful. Well done.
Thanks, Alan. Let's do. We're not going to do a judge change. I take it. Whoa, no, we're keeping as it is. Oh, I'm losing my mind. Mel, let's go to our next image, please.
The title of this image, Zirpu, China.
Score, please, Gerard. All right, we have an 86, a silver with distinction, and Christopher Ian is sitting up there as a solid gold on 93. Christopher, I assume you're going to challenge this.
Surely we can move this up, because this is, to me, the highlight. This is the highlight of the whole exercise today. This image has such color, temperature, works. It's perfect. We've got a sea of blue that you can feel the movement through it. It really is. The visual impact, the visual narrative is gorgeous. You've got a sea that this woman's working her way through, and you're seeing active hands that are sharp. The concept of the head being that hat and not a face, it's just adding to the dynamics, because it's the only circular thing there compared to the sea of blue. I just, to me, it's a visual highlight for today. This has to be in gold. It really, please have a look at it again.
Thanks, Christopher. Gerard, you were on 82 in the middle of the silver range.
I agree with everything Christopher has to say. It's a gorgeous image. Those clouds of fabric, the contrast between the red, the actual moment where she's reaching out there. I had a problem with it being so centered, and you don't have to be strict rule of thirds. I mean, I think a little bit of up and to the left and would have increased that dramatic tension of her lost in that sea of fabric. Although I agree, this is such a gorgeous photograph. I may have to rethink this one.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Mandarin, you were on 87, so very close to the average.
Yes, silver distinction. I think it's an absolutely beautifully seen image. This person is surrounded by a sea of cloth that is so perfectly placed, whether she placed it in her work or the photographer did. The subtle vignette is superb. It keeps drawing our attention back to the main focus. I guess some things that just stop me from going a little bit higher. I keep seeing, and I'm not sure if it's the color of the fabric in the light, but it feels like a color artifact. We've got this sort of cyan color in some of the fabric. Then there's more of a greeny tinge. And while that could be the light, I wonder if it's some sort of filter, and it's really obvious in the top right corner. That's just holding me back slightly, but I'm not sure if it's something that adds to the image. So I'm definitely listening.
Thanks, Mandarin. Lisa, I should have come to you first on 78. I'm just curious to see if you have anything you want to add.
Christine, definitely I've underscored, and I do appreciate that. And it was one of those images where I could have gone possibly into any of the categories, do you know what I mean? Because it's vibrant, it's been well composed. What's really hooked me is I feel that sort of, as you said, it's the sea of fabric, do you mean? And it's related to, work that is connected to the sea. So I feel that sort of visual connection with the actual material works well for me. I wasn't overwhelmed as much as yourself with that emotional feeling. So I'm listening, and I've heard everything that you've said. So, and also to what my fellow judges have said, I've definitely underscored. So I'm coming up.
All right, thanks, Lisa. Christopher, back to you.
Well, it's just a symphony. If you look at it, there's movement in a static image. It's just amazing how this person has created a motion picture in one frame. I love the idea that, now that Mandarin has brought it up, the daylight's coming in to give it an authentic sense. It's not flash lit, it's lit by an open doorway that's come in and given a different color temperature for the areas that it is affected. But that has affected the sense of movement in the frame. The person's placement is gorgeous. The subject has been shot from above, which is the perfect way to do this, because there's no distractions to bring you down to ground. All you're seeing is blue. And as a visually stunning image, it's up there with anything I've seen today.
Thank you, Christopher. Christopher's going to leave his score at 93. All other judges can please rescore now. And we have an 89, a very high silver with distinction. Excellent commentary, everyone. Let's do a little bit of a judge swap. So Christopher, that was hard work. You can have a little break, and let's give Alan a little break. So we're going to bring Afshan and Chris Saunders back on, and we'll have our next image, please.
This image has no title.
We have an 84 silver award for the moment. 10 points ahead of that on 94, and gold is Chris Saunders. All yours, Chris.
Yeah, my heart's pounding. And I'm so glad I get to be on the panel for this image. When it came around in the reel, I was really excited. And now I see it properly, I'm even more stoked to be looking at it. Yeah, this image has everything in terms of drama, in terms of the lighting, the sense of the textures throughout it, the fact that these are two people traveling, doing what they're doing, it has almost a a Shackleton sort of esque black and white vibe to it that you would get from that period travel. I know they're carrying snowboards or something on their back there, but again, it just adds to that for me, I'm getting that sort of Victorian or earlier sense of travel, black and white imagery in a really dramatic and harsh landscape. And I think the thing just gels together so well with that lighting and the snow that's going on around it as well. So yeah, let's talk about this. I'm super excited about it, which I'd like to understand where everyone else is at.
Thanks, Chris. Mandarin, you were mid-range silver on 82.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with the Shackleton analogy. I think this is quite a superb image. I wanted to go higher, and I guess where I'm held back is while this is obviously a blizzardous situation and there's a lot of weather infiltrating the image, the trees at the back seem quite clear, whereas the parts of the subject that I really wanted to see the story, what's on their backs, what they're walking with, is really quite blurry with the snow. Also, there is quite a severe highlight to the left of that left person, which is just distracting me so much that I keep being drawn away from what I want to see.
Thanks, Mandarin. Where might we go next? Afshin, I am going to go to you for a comment because you were kind of in the middle in support of this in silver with distinction.
Yes, I saw everything that Chris said, and I saw everything that Mandarin said. So I'm in between these two. And yeah, the contrast in the left side trees is not consistent with the rest of the image. That's the only reason that I'm sitting at 87.
All right. Thank you, Afshin. Lisa, do you have anything really quick that you'd like to add?
Just that I think that we're faced with the conditions that were there on the day. I'm comfortable with some of the highlights and I'm comfortable with the lighting. And the only tiny little thing for me, Chris Saunders, was just that the area in the bottom right is really sharp and everything else is really magical, if that makes sense. And I just, look, and I'm overthinking, I'm overjudging. I have been accused of overjudging in the past and I think I might be overjudging this. I'm happy to come up into the next category, silver with distinction, but happy to hear if there's any further comments to get me higher.
Thanks, Lisa. Chris Saunders, back to you.
Yeah, maybe I can try and address Mandarin and Lisa's comment around maybe the sharpness and the blurriness in the people that in that bottom third of the image. So quite often in these environments you can see how windy it is there. The snowdrift that you're going to get down at ground level does create an extra level of diffusion and so on down in those environments compared to the trees. So that to me actually adds to the realism of the situation. And and the wind can pull stuff around in weird directions as it's tunneling down that road, and that might be why it's not quite so bad on the right hand side. I think I didn't really hear too much holding this back from gold. I heard a lot of very good comments about the image. I don't really feel I've got too much more to work with to explain other than the change in contrast here. So that's my take on it. If you can't join me up in gold, then you're only 1 point away from getting this into silver distinction. I think for something that carries so much atmosphere, has a nostalgia to it, and has a real sense of light play throughout the image, it's worth every point of a gold for me. But let's see if we can get it there.
Thank you, Chris. Chris's score is locked at 94. Everyone else can rescore now, please. We move to a solid silver with distinction, 88, which is an excellent result. So excellent teamwork, everyone. And there's an entrant that's really, really happy with that outcome at home. All right, let's go to our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, the title of this image is Walking on Water, Father and Son Cefalu.
80, a silver award with 4 of our judges in the 80 range. That's very consistent. Congratulations to the entrant. Mandarin, you were pretty quick, wanted to make a comment on this one.
Yeah, as you look at the image, it's really cool, and I love the concept. What I would encourage the photographer to do in future with images like this is really work on making sure that the shutter speed slash the focus is accurate. The two figures were slightly out of focus. The other thing that I couldn't quite resolve was there seems to be some other artifacts. There seems to be, it almost looks like cloning, but I'm sure it's not, in the water just to the right of the man's right arm, that has the shape of scratches. And so things just don't quite ring true in some of the areas. So if you work on all of those things, I think you've definitely got something.
Thanks, Mandarin. And yeah, Mandarin mentioned cloning there. This is one of those categories where no cloning is allowed. So if there are scratches there that might be some kind of fiber or something that's in real life, it stays there for this category as well. So really tricky stuff when you're entering. Make sure you're always reading the category rules closely. Let's go. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick change. We're going to take Lisa and give Lisa a break, and Gerard can have a break as well. So Christopher and Alan, welcome back to the panel, and we'll have our next image, please.
This image is titled Front Row Seats.
And we have an 80th Silver Award. And again, 4 judges in that silver range. So very consistent scoring. Christopher, you were very quick off the mark wanting to make a comment on this one.
This photographer has very, very successfully juxtaposed a massive object with people having joy in their face. I love to see joy in my travel photos. If we want misery, I'm going to get it next week with documentary. But this is where people are out on holiday, having fun, and they just overwhelmed by the majesty of what's about to approach them. These Asian trains do this, but I've never seen anything that has the combination of people and the object. It's brilliant.
Excellent. Thanks, Christopher. Let's have our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled The Barbershop, a Community Institution.
We have an 82, a silver award. And we're not staying there for long. Afshin is very strong silver with distinction on 87. Go for it, Afshin.
I think the sorry, word. Yeah, I scored this 87 silver distinction, and I think the person sitting in the chair being shaved, the look on his face is just mesmerizing, and the focus, lighting control, and everything on the face is just beautiful, to the point that you can see every freckle, every line on the face, every hair. And he seems to be missing some shaving for days. And I just want to know what's going on in his head. I know this is travel. It gives me the sense of the location. I don't know which country it is. I would have loved to know, but the location, the atmosphere, the feeling is there, the connection is there, although no one is looking at the camera, but I can see the connection. It resonates in I can feel this, and I would love to have a conversation about this.
Thank you, Afshin. And a conversation we shall have. Chris Saunders, you were on 80, just sneaking into silver.
Yeah, I was, and I think I was getting hung up on the image being in a travel category and looking for a broader context in terms of the location, which I think, Afshin, you somewhat hinted at there. But I'm not sure that's necessarily appropriate here, given a bit more time with the image, and that location, in this case, can just mean the barber shop itself. And I'm going to reconsider based on that interpretation, because there's definitely a connection between the barber and the customer. I agree with you. There's something in the customer's eyes that make you want to question as to what's going on there. And you've got the location, the character of the location itself is coming through in the background with all the sort of knickknacks in the background in the cabinet and stacks on top of it. The fact you've got a somewhat dilapidated shelf there that the barber is working off of, and the grime on the glass, and the age of it, and so on. So I'm low. I'm coming up.
All right, thanks, Chris. Mandarin, you were very close to the average on 83.
Yeah, the humor of this image is not lost on me. So I definitely can address the expression that the man is expressionless, because I think he's so scared that if he does any expression, he'll get an uppercut. So I think it's really cool image. What stopped me from going higher was the reflection in the mirror. Firstly, I find it just a bit frustrating, the angle of the shot, because the barber is, you can see his nose, and then you've got the artifacts in the mirror. So it's sort of like he's not really adding anything. And then I feel like if you're going to have that reflection, have the whole reflection. So the reflection of the man being shaved as well. So I can't quite get the feel for the right composition there. So that is what held me in a silver.
All right, thanks, Mandarin. Afshin, let's come back to you to finish up.
Thank you. As per composition and having the whole reflection, honestly, I can't say that it didn't came to my mind, but at the same time, I think it is cleverly positioned. If you look at the composition, you can see every element in that image is purposefully positioned in a way that is not interfering with everything, except that marks on the mirror that covers the reflection of the barber. And I think it is done again purposefully, because if imagine that this mirror was clean, you would have seen two reflections of one person or even both of them, and then we would have questioned where to look at, what is the purpose of this image. And the purpose of this image is not the reflection, is the eyes of the main subject and how it is talking to us. It is fear, or it is being in a situation, which I personally think that is the case, to not come to have a shave for days, and now he's here and he's out there thinking about whatever he's thinking about. I think that is the most important part, not the reflection, this connection. Then the barber who is trying, maybe being funny, maybe being humorous to make him calm, maybe we don't know. But the fact that this image take us to that location and feeling this connection, I think that is very successful. And for that, I'm sitting at 87. Please join me.
Thanks, Afshin. Afshin's score is going to lock at 87. Everyone else, please rescore. Excellent work. 85. Silver with distinction. Really good discussion, everyone. It is such a treat to listen to you all talk about images like this and go into detail. It's magical. All right, let's do a little quick judge change. Mandarin, you've been on the panel for a while, bit of a marathon, so you can take a break. And Afshin, you can have a break after that impassioned plea. Gerard and Lisa, you get to come back on, and we'll have our next image, please.
This image is titled Frolicking in the Antarctic Snow.
We have an 81, a silver award with 3 judges sitting in that silver range. So pretty consistent scoring there. I'm going to go to Lisa for a comment on this one, please.
Thanks, Chris. I was just about to press the comment button, actually. I want to commend the photographer on really enclosing us in a world. Your choice of frame, you've really contained it. So we've got this lovely universe where it's just our gorgeous little penguins plus the space that they're in. In terms of silver, what we're showing there is we've got strengths in concept, technique, or impact. And I think to lift it up into the next category, I think we needed something where we either had absolute clarity with our beautiful subject matter, so we could really just connect with one individually, perhaps, you know what I mean? So and I know and appreciate the scene had a lot of snow and that was exactly what you caught. But there's also a couple of elements there that I think that, we've got the blob of snow in the background there. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, is that one of the little fellows, that's upside down and got the snow? Anyway, there's some elements in there that I feel didn't necessarily contribute. And I think to move it up, we just needed more clarity on our subject matter, or we needed to have filled the frame entirely with these. So a little bit more intent with the meaning and the message you were wanting to convey. But congratulations on the silver.
Right, thank you, Lisa. Let's have our next image, please.
Yeah, the title of this image is Emerald Night in the Finnish Lakelands.
Okay. We have an initial score of 87, silver with distinction, and we have 3 judges in that range. And we've got Lisa Kurtz sticking her neck out up in that gold on 92. So let's have a chat about this, Lisa. Kick it off.
So I do love a bit of cinematic noir. And I love it when I feel like I'm actually at the location and I feel like I'm actually right here. I don't feel that I'm necessarily the photographer, which I think is wonderful, because sometimes we have a sense that this was a photograph, whereas I feel I'm just embodied in this location. We've got wonderful leading lines. I can't see an element that hasn't earned its place in the frame. I myself wouldn't want to have missed anything that's here. I'm always lean on the side that a bit of noise, we can call it grain when it's fairly evenly positioned, but and so, that could be something that I'd ask my fellow judges to consider. And I just can't see why we wouldn't be scoring this in gold. We've got excellence in concept, craft, and impact. And for me, I've got a strong emotional resonance with the frame. So looking forward to hearing from my other judges.
Thank you, Lisa. Chris Saunders, you have this square in silver on 82.
I do. And it's really interesting because I think some of the things that Lisa was enjoying in the image were some of the things that were detracting in it for myself. So the branches, for example, in the top right hand and bottom right hand corners of the image, the ones in the top right hand corner are the blurriness in them is actually causing me a bit of an image, given that a problem, given that they're in the corner. They command quite a weight to the image. and so my focus is drawn there. I'm not sure that the branches in the bottom right are adding, and they could be cropped out potentially. But then when I follow along the, really where I want to be is in that amazing, there's two parts to the image. There's the camping piece. Do I want to be here? Absolutely. That's where I want to be looking at. That's where I want to be spending the night to experience this amazing atmosphere and fog and mist that is settling on the banks over on the left-hand side. So, I felt I felt maybe a slight readjustment in the positioning of the camera in this image could have maybe addressed a couple of those points and would have made the image stronger. I mean, I scored it silver, and I think it's an excellent image. I just feel I have too many distractions in areas where outside of areas where I really want to be looking.
Thanks, Chris. Christopher, you were pretty close to the average.
To me, this is where a title does work. If a person has been to Finland, do you know how much threat is in what this person's doing? They are standing there to take their photo, possibly on a tripod, but certainly for at least a minute or two, while the Finnish wildlife goes for them. It is mosquitoes sitting near these lakes once the ice melts. They are being bitten to pieces. And I think the only thing that's against that is I really think it should have been a square, because that last line of trees on the line behind the subject is the end of the photo, because the back third on the left is just losing it for me. If it was all like that, it'd all be dark and sinister. But brilliant work and courageous work too.
Thanks, Christopher. Alan, did you have anything quickly that you wanted to add?
It pretty much has been said, but I kind of feel like with our horizon, we're not straight. I feel like we're leaning down towards the right-hand side. That was what probably kept me out of that gold area.
Right, thanks, Alan. Lisa, back to you.
Okay, thanks everyone. I suppose I'm very comfortable with having wider frames. I felt like I was there in this scene and that's what I would see. So I was comfortable with the broader frame. And if we do keep it a little tight, we lose the beautiful line of the cloud off to the left there, where is that sweeping line. Alan, I'm not seeing the horizon, forgive me. I feel because we've got quite a few different horizontal lines to work with. Do you mean we've got our left tree line, we've got our central tree line, and we've got our right tree line? But I hear you, and that could be something that you need to, that's where you're at. I'm not feeling that. I just feel that everything's earned its place. Chris, the trees, again, I can live with them because I feel that they were there. And if we didn't include them, I think we'd lose some of the magic in the frame. And I think they give us a sense of depth as well, which I also feel that background left side also gives us a sense of depth. I'm loving the idea of the fact that this was a challenge for the photographer, but I'm only saying that because I think that's quite wonderful that we're all as committed to our craft as we all are. But nonetheless, that didn't come into my mind. I didn't realize that this may have been a difficult shoot. I think it's just purely quite magical, and I'm wanting to encourage my judges to take on board the fact that we can have all the depths and the different distances, and that the foreground, midground, and background have all earned their place. Join me in gold because we're only 3 points off. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa's asking for a gold. She's on 92 and she's going to stay there. Everyone else rescore now, please. And we have a 90, a gold award. Excellent work, team. And congratulations to the photographer. My mom's family is from Finland, and I've never actually been. And after looking at this photograph, I really want to go now. So I want to go to this place, except for the mosquitoes. But this sounds really good. All right, let's do a quick judge change. So Chris and Alan, you can have a little break. And Afshin and Mandarin, let's bring you back on for our next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image, The Lunig Trees.
And we have an 84, a silver award. We've got 2 judges up in the silver with distinction range, and Ashton is the first one off the mark with the challenge button. So you gotta be faster than that, Lisa. Ashton, over to you. Oh, our first mute problem for the day. We're doing so well.
Oh, sorry, everyone. I think it's second, by the way. I scored it 88, and I would love to have a conversation about this because I was torn between going 90s, going 80s, going 88, and from the technical point of view, this is gold. There is nothing that stops me from going to gold. Everywhere that you zoom in, every bit of snow, there is texture. There is everything there. And you can even see the footsteps of the photographer coming from distance to this location, turning back and take the shot. The only reason that I wanted this conversation, I wanted to hear about what other judges think about those 2 characters. I personally love them there because that gave me the sense of a scale about these trees and this location. But let's have a conversation.
All right, thanks, Afshin. Let's see, Gerard, you were one of 2 judges on 82 on the other end of the scale.
So I agree with Afshin. Like, it's really beautiful. It's got all these great textures on it. And I have 2 thoughts about the 2 characters that are there. The first one is that they're posing and smiling in that scene, which takes away from the reality of the moment for me. And then the other is a design element where, if dot theory is the thing, your eye wants to go to that dark space that is a contrast to all the snow. And I kind of agree with sometimes doing things that are uncomfortably off center like that. But for some reason, this one is taking away from the overall sense of the place in a way that I find uncomfortable. But it's those 2 guys posing and smiling that I had the biggest problem with.
Thanks, Gerard. Mandarin, you were very close to the average on 83.
Yeah, absolutely everything that everyone else has said. Technically proficient with the highlights in the snow, with the detail. Sitting with the image a little bit longer, there's one thing to add that is really cool. They've shot this image in color. It's a very grey monochromatic image, but then you've got the primary colors of the blue, green, and red, which I think is really cool. I was sitting on silver. The reason why I couldn't come up further is I felt that it was just very uncomfortable having it cropped so tightly with the figures on the right. If there was a little bit more space over to the right, I think I would have come up higher.
Thanks, Mandarin. Afshin, back to you.
Of course. Having heard everyone's opinion, I think that from the technical aspects of this image, no one has any questions. For that, I think this is sitting in a really, really good silver at the moment. But I believe because of everything that the photographer done in this situation, that it's really, really hard to do this job, to take this photo with this highly technical success, to have all the detail from the front to the back to the point that you can see the smile of that person is a great. As for the closeness or being so tight in crop, I think that's the only reason that I feel like having those 2 characters stop me to step into the gold. And for even with the criteria of a goal, that would be 1 or 2 distracting elements. And iterating what Mandarin said, this is colorful. At the same time, we feel it's grayish and have those colors. So it's done really well in controlling the light and color in the post-production. I believe that it really deserves to be in silver distinction. And I would love to have another person join us in this range.
All right, thanks, Afshin. Yes, there's 2 of you on silver distinction so far. Afshin's going to lock his score at 88. Everyone else can rescore now, please. And you asked for it and you got it. 86 silver with distinction. So excellent work, team. That's really great. Let's have our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled The Unseen.
We have an initial score of 84, and we've got Gerard up there on 92 in that gold range. So Gerard, challenge is all yours.
Okay, so this is such a gorgeous photograph. If I was editing for a story, this would be like a lead shot for me, the largest picture that we put on a page, or maybe the first picture we put in a multimedia piece. It's got texture, it's got color, it's got a great sense of character and action going with it. For me, it's firing on all cylinders.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Let's go to Lisa. Lisa, you had this just in the silver range on 81.
I did. Gerard, I wasn't feeling it as much as you. And I just felt that I was so conscious of perhaps even the technique, with a bit of a wide angle lens, we've got that bit of distortion, and that stuff doesn't normally bother me. But I think what I'm hearing you that I could look, I'm really open. I'm open to joining you a lot higher. I think I just got caught up in some of the foreground detail not being as rewarding for me. And I just felt I just couldn't physically or emotionally find a way into the frame. I got distracted by the lens.
Thanks, Lisa. Mandarin, you were on 82 with this.
Yeah, this is quite a striking image. I think and even the title actually added to the image for me, because the unseen, I actually look at that shadow in the background in that little walkway. It almost looks like a dark cloaked figure, even though it's not. And I kind of almost wish there was an extra person there to add to the story. It's unfortunate that it's such an old, beautiful old location, and she's wearing quite traditional clothes. But what really distracts me is that quite modern shoe, which I guess is part of the story, but I kind of wish the dress was slightly longer. We can't fix that. The other thing is there seems to be an artifact or a texture over her face that I find a little annoying, given that her hand is quite sharp and her foot is quite sharp and her clothing is. So if you could somehow address that, that would perhaps help me go up.
Thanks, Mandarin. Gerard, back to you.
I'm looking at the artifact. It looks like the paint changes behind her. I also didn't notice the detail. She's in this traditional clothing, but she's wearing high heels. I'm still, feel like this has got such a great sense of place, and I feel like I'm in this particular space with this particular person. Encourage you guys to see it also.
All right, thanks, Gerard. Gerard's going to lock his score at 92. Everyone else can rescore now, please. And we've stayed put 84 silver award. Excellent discussion, everyone. And we'll go to our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Threads of Heritage.
And we have an 83, a silver award. Congratulations to the entrant on your silver. That's an excellent outcome. I might go to, let's go to Mandarin for a comment, please.
What a group of people, whether it's a family, I'm not sure, but really great subjects. And I'm really enjoying that image on the fence. It just adds that element, extra element. How I could improve this image. Actually, if you have the opportunity to do this sort of photography more, I would try and see if you can photograph the real main subject. And while they're all very interesting, I find that lady second to the left with those incredible teeth and all that ceremonial outfit on her legs and her hands. I think if you could have captured her on her own, perhaps looking straight to the camera, I think that would have been an incredibly powerful image.
Thanks, Mandarin. We're going to do a little judge change. So Christopher and Lisa, you can both have a break. And Chris Saunders and Alan Moyle, let's bring you back for our next image, please, Mel.
Okay, this image is titled Currents of Commerce.
And we have a 79, a highly commended. So congratulations to the photographer on your highly commended award. Now I'm going to go to Chris Saunders. Chris, you were right on the average for this one.
Yeah, there's some really nice mechanisms in this image in terms of the strong diagonal from the oar pointing us back into the frame to see what's going on in the background. However, there are some highlights on the edge of the frame which aren't necessarily contributing to the story, which are dragging us further and back out of the image. So, yeah, maybe if I was to look at this, I'd look at a slightly trimmed crop on those areas so that we remain focused within the scene.
Excellent. Thanks for that feedback, Chris. That's great. Let's have our next image, please, Mel.
This image has no title.
We have an initial score of 88, silver with distinction. We've actually got two judges in the gold range, and while they both want a challenge, Chris Saunders is a bit higher on 94. So, Chris, let's run with you.
Wow. So I like the first thing that struck me is, am I looking at something out of a telescope of a shot of a planet or something like that? And it, that really grabbed me, and then I started exploring around it, and then obviously you land on the diver. And then I came back to my viewing position. I'm like, well, no, I'm now underwater. This is a fisheye shot. I'm seeing, but from the view of a fish, a fisheye and fish and all that sort of thing. I started to get, and then you explore into the highlights, and it looks like you're seeing the trees above the water, which are all sort of blurred and shimmered through the surface ripples. And you suddenly start to get that context of of cave diving and a sense of place around it. So there's an awful lot to like in this image, and I certainly think for something so impactful, it's worth taking an extra couple of minutes for us all to consider.
Thank you, Chris. Alan, you were on 83, smack in the middle of the silver range.
More than happy to hear other people keep talking about this.
All right, I can tell a brush off when I see one. Gerard, you're on 85, just leading into silver with distinction.
I could definitely be convinced to go a little bit higher on this. I love the sense that the fisheye is creating a globe, that sense of it's its own little world, and it's got a great sense of design going on with it. I was a little worried about seeing what I thought were dust spots, but those could be bubbles or anything else you find in underwater situations. But it's a very beautiful photograph. I think I probably should rate it a little higher.
Thanks, Gerard. Ashton, you were on the high end of silver with distinction.
Yes, I'm 88. Not really hard job for you, Chris, to convince me. Reason that they stopped me to go to, oh, come on, that tree is just so beautifully matching the curves of this cave, and I loved it. The reason that I'm not in the gold range, I wanted this to be totally curved when I saw this in the gallery first in run through. I was waiting for this, hoping that I can see this up close. And unfortunately, top left of the curve loses details. Uh, the everywhere in the curve we can see some rocks and everything, rock formation. But top left, which is the maybe one of the brightest areas, loses that, and it becomes solid gray. I wanted to be more textured so that we can have the sense of another planet, sense of another, looking through a telescope to a different planet. But unfortunately, that is not there yet. However, for everything that the photographer done beautifully, I'm at 88. A bit more contrast would also help me come higher too.
Thanks, Ashton. Mandarin's keen to have a chat. Mandarin, you were on 90, you were in gold.
Yes, gold. And yes, there are technical aspects of this image that could have been handled better. And if they were, I would have been in gold distinction 1,000,000%. This image is superb. The double entendre of the globe of the world, where it's actually really just a fisheye. The little cookies that I really find great in the story, that fish, the stingray up, the center to the left, very cool. Also, is that, well, I hope it's not a flipper. I think it looks like a piece of wood. It looks like something man-made that this diver is looking at to the lower left. And so not only is he in natural environment, but is this somewhere where there's human artifacts, as a shipwreck or what have you, a sunken boat. I think it's such a beautiful image. I can look at it for ages. So I'm on gold, and I think it's worthy.
Chris, you've got a lot of discussion to work with there.
I did. Look, I'm normally the technical guy, I think, in terms of my take on images, but this for me is purely about feels. I'm not too worried about the areas of shadow and black. On this, I can read so much into it in terms of abstraction, and then imagine the difficulty of capturing this image as well. You're in a backlit scene that you've managed to capture levels of detail in those highlights and the trees above water. Something had to go somewhere, and I guess that's gone in the shadows. But overall, everything is drawing you back down to that diver at the bottom. To have something with such a sense of abstraction and a sense of place in terms of what's going on here, and the sorts of places that people do go visit the world to go experience these sort of forest caves, is amazing. And I'm hoping we're 2 points shy of getting this into gold. I think there's enough in it to justify that. I'm just hoping I've sold that well enough to my fellow judges.
Let's find out. Chris, you're going to lock your score at 94. Everyone else, please rescore. Success, 92, gold award. Excellent. And every single judge moved up into gold for that, which is congratulations to the photographer. 5 judges in gold is a really excellent outcome. That's a biggie. All right, let's have a little judge change. Gerard and Mandarin, you can step off, and let's bring Lisa and Christopher back on, please. And we'll have our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Uprising.
of the gate, 85 silver with distinction. Lisa Kurtz, 92 gold. Take it away, Lisa.
Okay, I didn't think I'd be alone in gold, to be honest. So I'm going to be curious, well, not curious, I definitely need to hear what my fellow judges say, particularly because we've got a couple of judges down at the highly commended and early silver. I can't fault this. I can't find anything in it. I see atmosphere. I see uniqueness of location. I see technical skill. I can't think of anything that hasn't earned its place in the frame to tell us about this exact location in the world. And again, it's a place I probably won't ever get to see. And I'm commending the photographer for bringing us something that is so treated so beautifully, artistically, but so potentially horrendous from an environmental perspective. So I think there's narrative here as well. And it's a lovely use of using, you know, a beautiful visual language to showcase something that isn't beautiful. So I really want to hear from my fellow judges how I can bring you up to join me.
Thanks, Lisa. Let's go to Chris Saunders. Chris, you were highly commended.
I was. So I guess I was the other bookend, Lisa, on this one. And I suppose primarily that's from a capture point of view on this image, that I felt the photographer had the choice to deliberately place certain things in the frame and leaving for example, the steam that's coming up out of the power plant below, I feel is uncomfortably close to the top edge of the image and jars with me a bit as I follow that up through the image. I'd personally rather either see a bit more space or have that cropped down so I can get the sense that it's continuing on. And I just find the contrast in the image slightly flat as well for my personal taste, but be keen to understand if there's a particular interpretation behind that is adding to the story. There's a couple of other things around. The horizon feels slightly lower on the left in the image to me as well. I think that's just a natural slope in the field, but unfortunately it does create a draw in the image.
Thank you, Chris. Afshin, you were on 87. You were kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yes, Lisa, as you requested some answers from us. So in terms of having sense of location, sense of being or sense of travel photography, yes, but we see power plants in any country perhaps. So what location this is just giving me just that power plant location. Okay, that's fair and I can get that. At the same time, all of the points that Chris says, on top of that, there is a deliberate decision that the photographer made to keep the leading lines at the bottom to the power plant and leave the steam so close to the top of the frame. And then the title says uprising. This leading line to the power plant, I don't feel that is necessarily needed as such. It could have been a bit cropped down from bottom and give a bit more space on top to give more space for the uprising that the photographer asks us to take from the photo. And totally agree with every point that Chris says about the having a bit of punch in contrast. And I personally did not have the emotional impact that it had for you. The visual impact is there though.
Thank you, Afshin. Alan, did you have anything quickly you wanted to add?
Just quickly, agreeing. I'm in that sort of really solid silver distinction range, and again, the cropping at the top kind of does that for me. But the thing that hasn't been kind of mentioned is that the difference there. You've got that kind of new technology with the power plant, and the old technology with the tilling of that field at the front. So for me, that is something. But again, I can't come up there to gold just yet unless I get another big. Tell me.
All right, Lisa, tell him.
Okay, so we could look at placement theory. Do you know what I mean? Like where elements are placed in the frame. Gunnar Good, I don't remember the year, maybe the late 1960s, did the disc, okay, where all the elements are placed in the frame and where they're positioned all it simply does is give you a sense of direction, where an element is heading, and also the intensity of where it's heading. So I'm okay with the very tight crop at the top, because it is literally, this is going up to the heavens. I'm comfortable with that, and there is a tension to that. So we know from those disc studies, and we know this, we all know this. And when something's very close to frame, it is tense. Okay, and it implies also that it's leaving the frame. So I was okay with that. I didn't think this had to be as attractive or pretty, if that makes sense. It didn't have to have that space to make me feel more comfortable. I love that we do have the limited tonal range. I think that's absolutely intentional. So, Chris, I know that you might prefer a bit more punch. I think that its restrained range of tones is exquisite, and for that, and also that doesn't make us. It isn't forcing us to have an overly emotional reaction to it, you know, because we don't have that high contrast light and shadow and things like that. It's a little bit like the Beckers with their water coolers. Do you know what I mean? It's quite deadpan. It's front on. We aren't using lighting to sway us in any way, shape, or form. It's presenting information to us and allowing the viewer. So it's not didactic. It's allowing the viewer to work with that. Ashvin, in terms of the longer space, you know, leading in, again, I think I'm okay with that, because it doesn't mean that our main subject matter is too low in the frame. I feel that that's kind of well proportioned, because it does then allow, if you like, the room for the plume, you know what I mean, to go right up high, because I think it's kind of well balanced underneath. It's got something to weight it with, so we feel less that it's escaping. I can't, the narrative, Alan, thank you for bringing an additional narrative to it. I just genuinely can't fault it. And I think it would pass the pub test to go into gold. And I think if this was a print, it would have been exquisite. And I think that digitally, I haven't found anything to not dislike. I have heard what my fellow judges said. I hope I've addressed them. I hope you can join me. I know we've got a bit to go, but I hope I've sold you. Join me in gold.
All right, everyone. Lisa's asked you to join her. She's on 92 in gold. Everyone else can rescore, please. And we've moved to 87, silver with distinction. You did get one more person up to gold, Lisa, so that was good. And I know the photographer appreciated all of that. And silver with distinction is a really good result as well. So congratulations there. We're going to do another sneaky judge change. Lisa and Christopher, you can come off the panel. Mandarin and Gerard, back on for you. And let's have our next image, please.
The title of this image is Red Onions Darker.
And we have a 79, a highly commended. Congratulations to the entrant on your HC. Who am I going to go to for a comment? Let's go to Mandarin for a comment, please.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the powerful color scheme. So congratulations to the photographer. Where it could have been improved, I feel, is sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees when we're going through our images. And I wonder, was there another image within that series that was a bit more descriptive, perhaps where the subject was actually looking at the camera with different positioning of hands? Also, I feel that that red tone on the cheek is really blowing out the skin texture, which is always part of the beauty of images like this, getting the real character of the subject. So if you could address some of those things, that would really lift the image.
Excellent. Thank you, Mandarin. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you to all the judges for all the feedback on all the images, because this was our last image today in the travel category, which like the variety of images in this category is a bit mind-blowing, actually. So the versatility of our entrants and the versatility of the feedback from our judges has been spectacular too. So huge thank you to all of our entrants for providing us with such great imagery to check out today. Now, before I thank the judges, I want to remind everyone we're kind of at we're a little bit past the halfway point for Australian Photographic Prize. We've just finished week 2. Next week, from Tuesday to Sunday, we've got macro, pet and animal, sport, family, creative portrait, photographic artist, and commercial. I don't know about you, like if you've been watching these categories, there is so much on offer, so many great images to look at, and so many excellent opportunities for judges to help us learn. And I know that's something I really appreciate and I hope you do too. So big thank you to our judges. Thanks, guys. You've worked really hard today, and you provided some great education for our entrants as well. We have Afshan Jafari, Alan Moyle, Chris Saunders, Christopher Ian, Gerard Burkhart from LA, where it's starting to get late, Lisa Kurtz, and Mandarin Montgomery. Thank you to Mel St. Clair for excellent work on scribing, Nathan, our broadcast producer, Daniel for driving the bus. My name's Chris Anderson. We will see you for more judging next week. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.